Now, some of the names of these moons are the same as Greek mythological figures. So when we look at Titan, we know about the Titans in Greek mythology. They also have a moon named Prometheus, a moon named Janus. We have a moon called Calypso. We have a moon called Pandora. All of this stuff goes back to Greek mythology. Now, as a matter of fact, speaking of moons, we know that NASA, they launched a rocket called the Saturn V Rocket or the Saturn V Rocket up to our moon. They did this 13 times between 1966 and 1973. So we had the Saturn V or Saturn V rocket going to the moon. So now another weird thing is when you look at one of Saturn's moons called Iapetus. Iapetus is believed by NASA and other scientists to be an artificial moon. They basically believe that it was constructed, that somebody built it. Now that's crazy. Also, a lot of scientists and researchers believe that our moon is not a natural satellite, that it is a construct, that somebody built it. Now, the whole thing is, when you look at Iapetus and when you look at the Death Star from Star Wars, they look exactly alike. It's weird. The whole thing is, Star Wars didn't come out until 1977. And they didn't go to Saturn until 1979 when Pioneer 11 took those first photos of Saturn. So how did George Lucas, how did those designers know exactly what Iapetus looked like, and how did they design the Death Star to look exactly like it? Remember in the Star Wars movie, when they come out of hyperspace, when they come out of the warp drive or whatever, they say, hey, what is that moon there? And they say, it's not a moon, it's a spaceship. So, how did he know? When you look at the whole symbolism, when you look at Star Wars, we can see that most of the things in it corresponds to Freemasonry and corresponds to Saturn. So now when you look up the definition of moon, you will find Earth's natural satellite. What is a natural satellite? A satellite is an object, an artificial object that has been intentionally placed in space. So a natural satellite would basically be a natural artificial satellite that has been intentionally placed in space. It don't matter that they put the word natural there. It still doesn't take away from what a satellite is. It is an artificial object. But what do satellites do? They send and receive signals. They bounce signals. So to call our moon a satellite means what? It must be receiving some kind of signal or sending some kind of signal. But from where? Saturn. And you have to understand it's one of the biggest things I'm going to be showing you in this video. It sounds crazy, I understand, but that's going to make a lot of sense. But what is the signal that it's sending? What are we receiving here on Earth? We are receiving time. Remember, Kronos is the god of time. Father Time is Kronos. How are they controlling this world? With time. Without time, you do not die. Time is the reason why everything dies. Plain and simple, it's no escaping time. Now remember, there is laws to reality. Reality has laws. There is no law that governs time. It is the only thing that escapes the law of reality. You have duality in everything else except time. And there's a reason for that, because time is artificial. You have to understand that. You have good, evil, darkness, light, time, and what? You can't reverse time. You can't retract time. You can't reverse the aging process. Time escapes the laws of reality, which means it is artificial, and you have to understand that. You have to really get that in your head. It's time. I know it sounds crazy, but it's going to make a lot of sense as we go along. So now, what exactly is coming from Saturn? Let's take a look.
Astronomers have found one ring to rule them all, not in the land of Mordor, but around Saturn, our solar system's Lord of the Rings. In a patch of sky pretty far out from Saturn itself, Spitzer detected this telltale band of infrared light. While the image covers only a small area, it reveals a segment of something much bigger. The largest ring ever seen around Saturn or any other planet. How could such a large ring remain a secret for so long? While it is huge, the ring is insubstantial. Its diffuse particles are dark and reflect very little visible light. You could compare it to Tolkien's story of the Lord of the Rings. The Elvish script identifying the One Ring of Sauron only becomes visible when it's heated in fire. This largest ring of Saturn was only discovered from the glow of its heat in the infrared.
So now understand, our moon is picking up what Saturn is putting out, and it is basically broadcasting it to Earth. It is creating time. Time changes our reality. It changes our perception of reality. Now listen, this is the seal of Saturn. Now what is a seal? A seal is designed to keep things in, to keep things trapped. Now, you've seen this seal before. It looks like your Bluetooth logo. Now, with Bluetooth, I can send you something, a message wirelessly. I can send you a file wirelessly to your phone or to your computer or tablet. So you see this seal everywhere. You see this seal of Saturn all over the place. When you look at communications towers, I mean, look at them. What are communication towers designed to do? Broadcast things, to send signals, to bounce signals. So when you look at these towers, we can see the seal of Saturn in a lot of things. You can find it in gates. You can find it all over the place. This is what it's talking about. It's the seal. It is time. Time controls everything. Remember, back in the garden, what did God want to do? He wanted control. If you want to control people, time is the way to do it. Now, have you seen the movie They Live with Roddy Piper? I talked about this in a previous video. Now, in that movie, it's basically about these aliens or these beings controlling Earth. Now, they put subliminal messages everywhere, messages telling people to obey. That's where we get the whole t-shirts and the hats that people wear now saying obey. Comes from that movie. Now, in that movie, unless you have these glasses, you can't see what they look like. You can't see who they are. You can't see what they are doing. So Roddy Piper gets a hold of these glasses and he finds out what's going on. Now, remember, at the end of that movie, he goes and he destroys the satellite. Now, when he destroys the satellite, what happens? Everybody can see, reality as it is. They can see what's going on. They can see the people and what they look like. So now, that whole thing is basically a parable. It's a metaphor for what happened if you destroy the moon. Now, when you go back and you look at how many movies, I mean, it's so many movies where the moon gets destroyed, where the moon gets, messed up. Now, when you go look at the movie called The Time Machine, in the movie The Time Machine, the moon gets destroyed. Now, there's two weird things in that movie that they show. One, they show the moon, and they show the dark side of the moon, the back of the moon. And on the back of the moon, it's a whole city. It is a city there, structures there. Now, that's something that had nothing to do with the movie, but they showed that part. But then they also showed the moon is destroyed. There's a lot of movies where the moon is destroyed. In Oblivion, the movie with Tom Cruise, the moon is destroyed. And Nutty Professor 2, the moon gets destroyed. And Titan AE, the moon is destroyed. I mean, there's so many movies we can go to and we can look and we can see where the moon is destroyed or the moon is, messed up or something happens to the moon. So now there's a lot more to this whole time thing. Time and the moon and time as relation to the moon and Saturn. It's a lot more to it. Now, I have a series I'm going to do on quantum physics. I have to do that first because a lot of people is not going to be able to understand what's going on when I start getting to this whole thing about time and the moon and everything like that until I do the series on quantum physics, which is why this video is part 1. I'm going to do a part 2 of this video, but first I have to do the series on quantum physics. Now, I went out and I bought a brand new, I went online actually, and I bought an expensive ass camera. I bought some green screen and lighting and a bunch of professional stuff. So when I do the series on quantum physics, when I do the part 2 to this video, it's going to be way more professional. Everything's going to look cool. It's going to look a lot better. I am a graduate of film school, so my videos should look a lot better than what they do. And I know the sound quality has been awful. I went out and I bought a bunch of stuff. Well, I didn't go out, as I said, I went online and I bought a bunch of stuff, to make the videos look a lot better and to have better quality and to give you better videos. So, I did that, spent some money, and the next videos, I think I got one more video after this I'm going to do. But after that, when I go back to America, I got professional camera, green screen, I got a lot more stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot better videos when I go back home, when I get back to America. So then I'll release eventually the whole series on quantum physics and quantum mechanics. I'll release that. Then I'll eventually come out with part 2 of this video. But we're not done yet here. We have a lot more to go here that you need to understand. So let's get back into it. So now when we start looking at these beings who are supposedly in control of Saturn, they have been known by many different names. The Demiurge, or the Archons, or demons, or Satan. They have been worshipped for thousands of years. You have the Saturnians. You have the Saturnalian Brotherhood, which is the real religion, the real belief system of the inner core of the Nazis and Hitler. It's what they really believed in. So now when you go to ancient Rome and you start studying ancient Rome, you know the capital was Saturnia. Saturnia is still there today. It still exists. Saturnia is actually a pretty beautiful place when you go and look at it. But Saturnia, it all validates everything. When you start going back and you start doing the research and looking at history, you can see there was a worship of Saturn. It's all over the place. They don't teach us none of this stuff in school. They don't tell us anything about the Saturnalian Brotherhood, or the Saturnians or Saturnia or anything like this. We get Greek mythology to disguise it all. So you have to dig and dig and dig and do research. As I said, when I first started doing this, there was no YouTube. There was really I wasn't even into the internet like that. But you can find books. The older the book, the better the book, which is why I'm a big guy when it comes to books and, giving people books and getting people to read certain things, because it's important for you to read, because this stuff is not everywhere. I mean, it's not that many of us doing videos on YouTube that's putting out this kind of content. You gotta go find it in books. Books are important, which is why I'm all about, donating books and encouraging people to get books. So the whole thing is, whoever is running Saturn, whoever is controlling this whole time thing, they may not be as powerful as we think they are, or they need us. So now, what could they possibly need us for? This whole thing is about energy. It's about our energy. Now understand, there's a lot of theories out there. It's a lot of things people talk about. People talk about, reptilians and Nibiru and, the Pleiadians and all kinds of different things. Me, I like to stick to what I can prove. I like to stick to what the research is pointing to and what things are pointing to. Now, not all the time when I read something ancient, I don't automatically believe it. Now, another thing I want to talk about is that whole Sumerian tablet thing, this whole thing about, humans being created to mine gold. I mean, it's one of the stupidest things I heard of. I know they got some kind of facts to kind of back up their story, but when you start doing the research and looking at the whole thing, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense with history. And then the whole thing is the people who is pushing this whole story about the Sumerian tablets, and Enki and Enlil and that whole thing. I mean, the people who push that story, when you really look at their background, they write books. They write books, they make up stories, they go out, and then they sell these books, and they do book tours, and they do like tours in Africa, and they charge people a whole bunch of money to come out and look at these so-called places that they talk about in a book. And when you go look at these places, it don't fit with what they're talking about. I mean, there's no proof. It's just people talking and making up a story. It's basically what the Bible is. It's a story. It's the same thing with this whole thing. It's a story. None of this stuff fits. You have to understand. I mean, first of all, quantum physics destroys all of that crap, because you don't create something this complex. Human beings, we are very complex. We are very powerful beings. You don't create something like us to mine gold. I mean, it's just stupid. If you can create us, you don't need us to mine gold at all. It's not going to be a problem for you to mine gold. So why create something this advanced, this powerful to mine gold when you can train some monkeys to go mine some gold for you? I mean, it's just crazy. I know a lot of people had questions about that, but I wanted to address it. Now, a lot of people do like it because, I mean, the whole thing says this. Black people, our whole purpose is to be slaves. And that's why I don't dig that story and why I did a lot of research into it, because our whole purpose is saying our purpose is to be slaves. We was created to be slaves, and the white race is just basically a casualty of that. We was created first. Everybody knows black people, and then white people just came from us, and it just was like, a mistake or something like that. I mean, it's all stupid. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Don't buy into that stuff. I only deal with what I can prove, what the research is telling me. I'm not going to come on here and give you a bunch of, whatever and what have you. Trust me, if I'm speaking about it, I found research to support what I'm talking about, and I usually give you that research in the videos. So don't buy into all that crap that people's talking. So now, what kind of energy do they want? They don't want good energy. They don't want bad energy. They want a combination of both. So now when we go and we look at Satan, when we look at Saturn, what is Satan all about? What does Satan do? Satan perverts things. Satan perverts the nature of duality to get one form of energy, one perverted form of energy. So now let's go back to the Garden of Eden. You have Adam, you have Eve, you have man and woman. Why is it that the woman corrupts the man? What happens when feminine energy corrupts masculine energy? What happens? You get homosexuality. And that's just why homosexuality is promoted. This is why they say that, the Antichrist will be homosexual. He will be gay. This is why it's promoted. It's the perversion of the nature of the man and the woman. When you have a homosexual man, you have the perversion of the nature of man. When you have a lesbian woman, you have the perversion of the woman. But you still have male and female. You still have male and female energy in the man and in the woman. It is the dual energy. It's duality. It's going to create one form of energy. Now, let me say, and as you should understand, I don't have any problems with any gay or LBGT people or anything like that. You are who you are. I have no problems with anybody. Now, that being said, when we look at Baphomet, when we look at the goat of Mendez, when you see him, you can see he has female breasts. He has like a male body. When you look down, you can see the double helix of DNA symbolizing the uniting of male and female energy, represented by the goat, which we know Capricorn governs Saturn. It is ruling Saturn, the constellation Capricorn, which is the goat. So basically, this symbol is basically talking about what I just said. Male and female energy combining, being ruled by Saturn, and it's pointing to Saturn when you look at the image. It's all about Saturn worship. It's all about the male and female, the masculine and feminine energy, yin and yang. Yin, you have feminine negative energy. Yang, you have masculine positive energy. A lot of people will say, well, why is the female negative? Now, when you go back to the Adam and Eve story, remember I have shown you the whole Adam and Eve thing is speaking about atoms. It's not Adam, a man, it's atoms that it's talking about. So when you look at an atom, we have electrons, neutrons, protons. So the electrons are feminine. They are negative energy. The protons is positive energy. The protons symbolize male. The electrons symbolize female, as well as the neutrons. So, you have the nucleus in the middle, which is a combination. This is what it's talking about. It's all about the atom. It's always about this energy. Now, when you go to the Jewish Bible, we're talking about the Torah, and you look at the Adam and Eve story there, Eve is not in there. It's talking about Lilith. Now, remember, in that story, Lilith is basically the companion or the first wife or whatever of Adam. The whole thing is, Adam, he tries to get her to be obedient to him. And she's like, hell no, she ain't having it. So she leaves. And when she leaves, she becomes a demon. She ends up becoming evil or negative. It's just the story that they're trying to talk about involving the Adam. Now, the whole thing is when Lilith leaves, she hooks up with Samuel. And when she hooks up with Samuel, stuff happens. Now, when you go and you look at the story, it's talking about basically Baphomet. It's talking about the Adam. And when you look at the symbol here with Baphomet, you can see it spells out Lilith and Samuel. This is where it all goes back to. No matter where you look, you're going to find Saturn, you're going to find Satanism, you're going to find the worship of Saturn and Kronos, and everything that we've been talking about so far in this video with the goat and the constellations and the sun and the moon. It's everywhere. It's inescapable. So now understand, all is not lost. We are not hopeless. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, so people can stop being so scared of this whole Satan thing. You need to understand your own power, and that these beings or whoever they are and these people are terrified of us. May not seem like it to you, but trust me, they are. When you look at their actions, you can see that they are scared because we are waking up, and they're going to have to change their tunes. Inescapable that they are going to have to change it. Trust me, they're going to have to. So now, understand, when we go and we look at the whole Lilith and Samuel story, it's about the perversion of duality there as well, the goat and everything. Now, where else do we find this goat? We can look at mythology and look at Pan. Remember, Pan is basically the god of nature. Why of nature? Because they want to pervert nature. Pan is like a man with like goat legs and goat feet, and he has horns of a goat. And, you know, it's a perversion of nature. Now, also, Pan is the name of one of the moons of Saturn. So, like I said, you're going to find it everywhere. You're going to find Saturn. You're going to find it throughout mythology and all over the place. It's about the perversion. I mean, that's what they do. Our government is exactly the same way. Our government perverts everything. You know, hospitals, you know, medicines, doctor. They're supposed to basically cure things. Doctors supposed to cure things. Medicine's supposed to cure things. Hospitals supposed to cure people, but they do not. Our politicians are supposed to take care of the people. They do not. Our teachers are supposed to teach us, you know, real history, real science, you know, real things, but they do not. It's about the perversion of everything. Everything is perverted. TV tells lies to your vision. It's supposed to tell you something that you can use. It don't. It's supposed to give you the news. The news tell you lies. Everything is a perversion. Everything is twisted. So understand, we are not supposed to be slaves to this material world. We are not supposed to be slaves to materials. We are supposed to use materials to help us develop our spiritual self. Now, we have to develop our spiritual self away from material to escape this planned net that they have us trapped into, this planet or planned net. So now everything is about keeping us away from the tree of life. That's what it's all about. Keeping us away from that tree, keeping us away from the truth. So now when we look at our world, when we look at our, you know, civilization, our system in America and all over the world, so many things that they give us because they are in panic mode. They give us so much to keep us from that tree. I mean, look at the entertainment industry. Look how much money they pay these people. They pay movie stars millions and millions of dollars to deceive you, to give you movies, to distort your perception. They pay these athletes. I mean, we talk about athletes getting paid $20 and $30 million a year to play sports, to deceive you, to keep you entertained, to keep you away from that tree. Musicians, rappers, and, you know, pop stars, they're getting all of this money, all of this attention and fame, everything to keep you distracted and away from this tree of life. So this is why we call these famous people and these celebrities stars. It goes back to the hexagram of Saturn and the star. Now we look at these celebrities, we look at these actors and these rappers and famous people, and we see what they're doing. We see them wearing the goat. We see them talking about, you know, satanic things and having satanic messages in their lyrics and flashing things that have to do with these secret societies, you know, and they talking about all kinds of rituals and all kinds of crazy things that all corresponds to this whole worship of Satan and satanic worship, but we just let it all slide. We see all these things. Nobody says nothing. It's all about keeping you away from that tree. We are distracted. And that's why they give you Hollywood. You know, Hollywood and everything, the whole entertainment industry is their major weapon because it's a distraction away from what the military is doing and what they are doing and what's really going on. It's a distraction. Now, you can understand that they use the entertainment industry as their primary weapon because they pay them the most. I mean, the sports athletes as well, they pay them a lot of money. You look at a soldier who goes to war, who risks his life. We're talking about risk his entire everything, his existence. And some of them actually die. A lot of them die and risk everything for what? They don't even get $100,000 a year. They don't get 100. And you got basketball players making $200,000 a week. I mean, it's crazy. So everything relies on that whole entertainment industry and what you're watching on TV. That is the major thing. That's their major weapon against us. The music and the movies. So they give us the entertainment industry, they give us religion, and we look to religion to basically what? To save us. You know, Jesus is our savior. We look to religion to save us, to take us to the right place when we die. But as you have seen, and I know you do research yourselves as well, you can see that all religion leads back to what? The worship of Saturn. Is basically all the worship of Satan and Saturn, all within these religions, the major religions. So now I've shown you that God is capable of evil. We can see God is capable of evil in the Bible, and he tells you to do evil things. When you look at what's going on, it's evil. So you have duality there. You have good, you have evil. But what about Jesus? Now, when we start talking about Jesus, I mean, it's not as easy to see. So let's go to Revelations 13:18. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, or 666. So it's 666. So the whole thing is this, you know, we read this and we see the number there, and it's asking us to calculate, but it's giving us the answer. So what are we supposed to calculate? The number of his name. What is the name? Whose name are we supposed to calculate? They never give us that. So now, as I have said, you can find Satan in many different places. Satan can be many different things. Now, most people would not have fathomed to calculate the name of Jesus Christ. And if you did, when you calculate it, it don't equal 666. But Satan doesn't calculate to 666. Lucifer doesn't calculate to 666. Satan, Lucifer doesn't calculate to 666. Saturn doesn't calculate to 666. We're talking about the number of the name. We're talking about calculating letters into numbers. None of it equals 666. I have shown you the Pope already and how that can equal 666. Yes. But it says, here is wisdom. Let he who has understanding. You know, what is it talking about? So now when you go here and it says, and his number is 666, but it gives you the number. So what are we supposed to calculate? You're supposed to calculate, and his number is. When you calculate that, you get 3170, 430, 1171, and 666. And when you add those together, you get 2,368. Now, when you calculate Jesus Christ, the Greek name, Jesus Christ. Remember, the New Testament is written in Greek. When you calculate the number of his name, it equals 2,368. Boom. Jesus Christ is Satan. It's the worship of Saturn. I can go into more with Jesus Christ. And when you start looking at the pictures, when you start looking at the paintings, it's corruptible man. That's what they're talking about. It's talking about Jesus Christ. It's talking about him. When you look at the pictures, you can see the resemblance of the paintings of Jesus and Baphomet. There's a lot of hidden things in a lot of these pictures they're trying to show you, which is why they give you one painting of Jesus when he looks like this. They show you another one of Mary looking the same exact way. It's duality. It's a lot of hidden symbolisms in a lot of these paintings, and you have to really look at them to see what's going on. So now we can see why these celebrities can praise Jesus. We can see them, you know, throw up the goat symbol and flash all these devil symbols and symbolisms and talk about all this satanic stuff in their lyrics and, you know, show all this satanic stuff in movies and everything like that. We can see why they can do all of that, then come on stage and say, well, I like to thank Jesus. I like to thank God first. Thank you, Jesus. And start talking about Jesus. Now we see why. It's the same shit. Jesus, Satan, God, Satan, same thing. There is no such thing as Satan. You have to understand it's all about Saturn. There's no such thing as this being Satan that the Bible is talking about. Snap out of it. In fact, if you go and ask a devil worshiper, a person who is a Satanist, they will tell you there's no such thing as no damn Satan. They'll look at you like you crazy. In fact, let's go to a satanic website, right? Let's go to one. Let's check this out. Now, when you start reading here, it's talking about how you can sell your soul to Satan. And it goes on to say stuff like, you know, you got to have goat's blood and you got to draw a pentagram with it and stay inside the pentagram. But then it says here, etc., blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit. The previous 3 paragraphs are what I call my dark sense of humor. This is the answer that Christian devil worshippers, see, it's trying to tell you, Christian devil worshippers, it's no such thing, but it is. They don't know it. But if you're a Christian and you worshiping Jesus, you actually worshiping Satan, but you just don't understand that. So it says, this is the answer that Christian devil worshippers enjoy. It is B movie media crap combined with medieval Christian paranoia about non-Christian practices. Doing the above is not only stupid, it is pathetic, unless you make money from it, in which case use ketchup and tell them it's congealed blood. Now it goes on to say down here, the person who asks, how do I sell my soul, is most likely new to Satanism and probably new to science, new to critical thinking, new to adulthood, and generally just newy. They are most likely asking this question to the first Satanist that they have encountered. Satanism does not, however, recognize Satan. That is big. Satanism does not, however, recognize Satan. It's because they worship Saturn. They know what's going on. They know the truth as an existing being. Satanism does not, however, recognize Satan as an existing being. Let that sink in. As a result, the answer of a typical Satanist to this question could be, piss off, you immature devil worshiper, get a life and a job, stop harassing us until you've grown some brain cells, etc. Now, he goes down here and he quotes whoever this is, Anton LaVey. Now, everybody know Anton LaVey is like the, biggest Satanist of the modern era. Aleister Crowley, we know Anton LaVey, and we know that Marilyn Manson took over that whole church of Satanism.